Hello, everybody. So this is take two of day 10 of How to Be Happy. So I did a whole 10-minute video earlier, and it turns out that none of the sound got recorded because I am streaming this from my Zoom app, and it's automatically set to mute when I open it. And if I'm not talking to somebody, sometimes I just forget that it's on mute and I have to unmute it. And I didn't do that earlier. So I apologize for those who tried to watch the video earlier and you just got a talking head with nothing coming out of the voice box there. Okay, so I'm going to sort of just refresh. Today, I want to talk about acts of kindness because I'm saying yesterday, this wasn't yesterday, but in the last video, Kevin Cole mentioned acts of kindness. And I actually have a whole chapter in my book written about acts of kindness. And I'm going to read a little bit from my book. And the reason why I'm doing that instead of just sort of like talking off the cuff is because there are things in the book um, where I talk about studies have been done to prove that acts of kindness help increase your overall happiness and well-being. And actually, I have all of that documented in the back of my book. I have a whole bibliography of citations for where I got these facts that I put in my book. So these are not opinions; these are facts. Anyway, the Dalai Lama says, when we feel love and kindness towards others, it not only makes others feel loved and cared for, but it also helps develop our own inner happiness and peace. Um, so one day I was waiting in a drive-through line at a local fast food restaurant, and I was just buying a cup of coffee before heading to the office. When I rolled up to the first window to pay and try to pay the cashier, she said, "Don't worry about it. The person in front of you covered the cost, so you don't have to pay." Huh? Confusion was my first reaction. As I looked ahead, not recognizing the car in front of me or the person in it. I mean, like sometimes my relatives will pay for other cars behind them if we're all or like in a carpool heading on a family vacation or somewhere like that, right? But I wasn't on vacation. I was just going to work like any other day. It took me a few moments to process this information before it fully registered in my mind. And once I realized that some stranger bought my coffee, they had already driven away. So I didn't even get a chance to thank them or even just like wave a kind gesture to them, like, thank you. um, so as I drove up to the next window and I took my free cup of coffee, I'm sure I still had that look of bewilderment on my face, but I also had a smile. The person had paid for me purely as a random act of kindness. And I made up my mind to pay it forward one day, sometime in the near future, just to bless someone else's day. So that beneficent person had no idea what I was going to order, right? I mean, kind of lucky for them, I only ordered a cup of coffee that cost $1. But I could have ordered breakfast for my entire family, which would have accumulated to a big bill since there are several of us. Who would do something like that? Someone generous. And she did not only, she didn't stick around to even wait for me to thank her. She didn't even, and I'm saying her, I don't even know if it was male or female. She just drove off. She wasn't necessarily looking to get my reaction as a reward either. Just the act of her doing a kindness for someone without strings attached was enough for her. And I bet she felt as happy giving it to me as I did receiving it from her, or maybe even happier. I know this because I felt that way when I did an act of kindness for someone shortly afterwards. And we've all heard of that old adage that goes, giving is far better than receiving. But there has been enough research done now to show that giving really is better than receiving, at least psychologically. Doing simple acts of kindness help us to stay in mentally healthy and positive states. And that's why I include my acts of kindness in my happiness recipe as the main ingredient. And you know what else? They don't have to be random or hidden either. Yeah, in the research reports that I have read on random acts of kindness or paying it forward, including studies done by the University of Stanford, the University of Virginia, Oregon State University, York University, the University of California, the University of Alabama, Loyola University, and others, all the data basically indicates that the people doing the acts of kindness reported back as having higher levels of happiness and an increased sense of well being, as opposed to the more selfish groups and the control groups. So, what are acts of kindness? Acts of kindness can be anything, really, like feeding someone's parking meter, giving a sandwich to a homeless person, doing volunteer work, giving money to charity, maybe over tipping a breakfast waitress, taking on someone's shift at work who could use the break. Maybe it's babysitting your neighbor's kid without taking pay. It can be even as simple as sending someone an email telling them something nice about who they are as a person. It's just finding a way, big or small, to brighten someone's day and acting on it. And that is sufficient for the good feelings to arise within us and stay within us. Again, it doesn't matter if the act is big or small, the feelings are just the same. And as mentioned above, the act of kindness does not have to be a random act of kindness. It can be a selective act of kindness. It's up to you whether you want your good deeds to be known or not. Whatever way makes you feel the best is what you should strive for, as it will be a great boost to your overall sense of happiness and well-being. According to the Random Acts of Kindness Foundation, doing kind acts is not only linked with enhancing your sense of joyfulness and emotional resilience, it also boosts your immune system, it reduces stress, it diminishes the effects of mental and physical disease and disorders. It decreases the intensity of physical pain. It reduces the sense of isolation, reduces chronic hostility and negativity, and increases the senses of self-worth and optimism. You probably know someone who has done an act of kindness for you, and you have most likely have been a benefactor too. You may even remember the feeling of the sense of pleasure you received in both giving and receiving. Now we are going to amp up those feelings exponentially by practicing acts of kindness every day. The more we do these, the happier we will be. And the sense or feeling of happiness will have staying power. The sense of happiness will have staying power. But we have to do this consistently. There are many great stories of these great, grandiose acts of kindness, and we all love reading about them, especially the bigger deeds, like the anonymous benefactor who buys a trip to Disney World for the single broke mom who has 5 kids and one has leukemia. However, I will reiterate, it needn't be anything big unless you can afford it and you just want to do big acts. It only needs to be something small, just a very small act of kindness. And it doesn't have to be just for people with special needs either. It can be for anyone. And it may be as simple and as affordable as you like, such as a phone call to a friend or a relative that you haven't seen for a while, especially someone you know that could use some cheering up. It could be throwing a $5 bill in your child's piggy bank, buying flowers for your spouse for no special occasion. It could be smiling at a stranger passing by, filling up someone's gas tank, especially nowadays with how expensive gas is at the moment of this recording. It's pretty high right now. How surprised would that person be, and maybe even grateful and thankful if you were to fill up their gas tank for them? It could be writing a thank you card. The fun part is that you get to be as creative as you want and come up with something different every day. Or you can do similar things. If that's easier, just do the same thing every day. It doesn't matter. Whatever, just do it. You have absolute carte blanche. So, what acts of kindness can you think of? And who are you going to do a kind act for today? What will that be? And what will you do tomorrow? All right, guys, if you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe. And of course, hit the notification bell. I'll see you in the next video. I love you and